seeing my Instagram. I've been posting photos recently. Sometimes honestly, I don't get to see my pictures. I take a bunch of pictures, and I don't get to edit them on the spot. So I need some time to like kind of just sit down, pick, and then edit. But yeah, that's kind of like my routine. And then the gym, of course, I fit it in the morning. And
What the is we doing?
welcome back, everybody, to those listening. This is episode 2 of season 3. It's been a while since we started this, and we have taken breaks. We lost kind of like track to what this was meant to. Today, Randy remind me of how this started. You want to remind the audience what this podcast is all about?
For sure. Right. So in the beginning of this, it's just us having conversations and then ideally just recording it. Right. Um, Obviously, there's nothing wrong with having some structure with a specific topic and then kind of going off into it. But again, at the end of the day, it's for us to kind of look back into this as a way, like a journal, right? About different things and different points in our lives and just seeing where we're at. And then hopefully through that, other people can engage and listen and feel some sense of like, oh, I understand where they're coming from, or, I would never see it from that perspective. It's interesting that you guys think that way, whatever the situation is. Yeah, that's what we're here to do. We're just here to talk, shoot the shit, and then hopefully something interesting comes out of it. That's
For
pretty
sure.
much it.
And I think the idea came out drunk. That's why we call it shots of info. Like
Exactly.
info. And that's what that
We
was.
don't even drink anymore. You have a shot?
I have a coffee. I'm an old man now. I'm an adult.
Yeah. You mean your liver can't handle the alcohol anymore?
Oh yeah, no. Like this past weeks, it's been like I think like that's very common on like Ecuador at least, or like where I live, that every weekend we drink. Like we go do some sports, like we play volleyball, and at the end of the night we drink. I think that's the thing. So ever since I've been to Ecuador, there has not been a weekend that I haven't gotten drunk, which is really bad. Really, really bad. I'm trying to stop, taking small steps. Probably instead of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm gonna just do like Friday and Saturday, then just Sunday. Baby steps. But yeah,
Yeah, and then hopefully no days, but we'll see.
what about you? What do you drink? I know you'll be home today.
No drink, no drink, bro. I've been taking it a little easy with the alcohol. Not that I've ever had any kind of addiction or anything, but I was getting to a point where I was kind of having a drink every night or every other night. Um, Again, just like maybe a shot or two, but it would be like tequila or gin. Um, Definitely help with the tolerance. Like I could drink for relatively longer periods of time now, but um, alcohol is poison to the body, right? So if we're not managing that, then again, using the effects of it, we've all kind of either dealt with it in the past or have seen other people deal with the ramifications of just constantly drinking. It's not something to emulate, really.
Not something to be proud of, to be honest. And I shouldn't be saying aloud that I'm proud of it. I'm not proud of it. I think it's just like dived, like merge with the culture, like in the Latin culture. Like if you think Latinos, like you think borrachos, like it's right away, usually, just because we know how to drink. Same with Germans and Irish people, to be honest. Like they know how to handle the alcohol. But yeah, no, you're right. You're definitely right on the point that I should definitely control my drinking and say no once in a while.
We've been
Thing
having this conversation for years, man.
It's been a while, right? I remember no, I don't know if you recall, like when we used to go to college together, we would like have this sort of conversation, like just like on campus, just chilling.
Yeah,
That's what we used to do. But
that's
yeah.
pretty much it. You know what I find interesting though, like because you mentioned in like Latin cultures, drinking alcohol is relatively normal. It is because oftentimes, if you go anywhere, if you go to maybe a relative's house or you go to a friend's house, generally for like dinner or for lunch, they'll ask you if you want a beer to accompany the food.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like it's a common thing. It's not necessarily like you're out of place for drinking alcohol in the middle of the day. It's
Mhm.
normal. Um, there's something to be said about that, right? Again, it's not that alcohol is a bad thing, but it
Yeah.
is something that if you're not controlled and you don't understand like the effects of it, it can be very detrimental. Especially recovering with the issue that I had with my back.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol, like I can't necessarily explain all the negative aspects of alcohol, but it doesn't necessarily allow you to heal faster when you have situations like this, especially when it relates a lot with inflammation in the body. Alcohol has the tendency of having negative consequences. And a lot of people have these issues, right? Uh, it's really important that you understand that alcohol is supposed to be a social lubricant for the most part. It's not supposed to be something you do every day. Um, and a lot of people get in situations where they're always needing to be social. And this is where we have had conversations in the past that it's about developing your social skills and not necessarily needing to rely on substances in order for you to feel confident in, maybe approaching a girl that you like, or, being in a party situation where you're talking to multiple people and you needing to maybe network or wherever you are. If you're not comfortable being uncomfortable in those kind of situations, and what you do is have a tendency of relying on alcohol, it will come to bite you at some point. Um, and you've noticed it, and I've noticed it, right?
No, no, that's for sure. I think relying on a substance just to have fun, that just means that you don't know how to have fun. Or you don't know yourself how to have fun, you know? Like if you know if you were to know yourself and that the things that brings you joy, you will do it sober or drunk, and you're gonna have the same amount of fun, to be honest. It's like going on a hike. Like I can go hike, sober. Of course, sometimes we bring like a little una botellita just for the cold, and then we get drunk once we camp, but we still have fun, It's not always like that. It's not the case every single time. Now, one point about alcohol though that I kind of like find it funny now is that alcohol is so like marriage, or it's part of the culture in Latin America, or at least in Ecuador, that people use that as medicine. Like I don't know if you have seen the cases. Like in Ecuador, there's this thing like like the bad vibes, like la limpias that they do, like con el huevo
Mm.
te lo pasan. They also like drink, not drink, but like they put it alcohol like aguardiente in their mouth and then in your stomach, and it just says like to para curarte las malas vibras and stuff like that. But also like if you're sick and you have fever, they usually rub alcohol like in children's head and stuff like that. So it's kind of curious about how people came across those ideas. I find that interesting now that I think about it.
For sure, right? Because it's ingrained into our culture. And,
Mhm.
alcohol does have properties of like, killing bacteria, killing germs. Um, and that's something that we've developed through centuries of evolution, or centuries of our cultural evolution, right? Um, but still, to this day, people now utilize it not necessarily for that kind of purpose, but just to get drunk and just to party and just to have it as a crutch, and as it relates to feeling comfortable in awkward situations. And again, it's not necessary, because long term you will have consequences from drinking alcohol for that long, right? Like a lot of people, and even you might even find yourself prone to having a beer belly, right? Like you work out really hard, but because you drink so much alcohol, the beer belly never goes away. So, like,
Yeah.
all this effort that you're putting into being healthy is just kind of being not that it's wasted, but you're not seeing the fruits of your labor to the extent that you actually could because of the beer and the alcohol.
Like drink hard liquor. No, no, but yes, that's true. Especially like in the summer, like you were mentioning, like right now in the summer is like super super humid. Like a cold Corona at that time is so good. Like it does refresh your body. Like who doesn't like that? But you're right. When you drink in excess, there's always consequences to your actions, I think. So regardless of what it is, you see the consequences later on, whether good or bad. They're good consequences, bad consequences, doesn't matter. There's just gonna be consequences you're gonna deal. Nothing we talk about that in the past as well, about good and
Yeah,
bad choices. Never that.
all
It's
of this stuff.
just consequences.
Exactly. Let's see, where else can we go with this? So you said that you're not planning on coming back to New York anytime soon, right?
No. I'm actually applying for remote jobs. I'm happy where I am, to be honest. At least here in Ecuador, I'm like super comfortable spending too much time with my sister and niece and family, grandmas. Um, I don't know. I think I do miss my parents. I saw my sisters a month ago, so I don't miss them as much. But my parents I haven't seen them since I left New York. So it's been 4 months, about 4 months now. And I mean, I've been away from them in the past when I went to college, away for college. So it's nothing new. I can manage. I think a lot of people struggle when they are away from home for too long. I think they get homesick quickly. I'm very adaptable. Once again, I'm here also what I call it home. So it's not that I'm, lost in the world, just wandering around. No, no. At least here, I'm just gonna be living for a season in Ecuador, couple months, applying for remote jobs, as I mentioned in the previous episode about life updates. I got my first meet interviews today, 2 interviews for 2 companies, which was pretty exciting. I realize I'm very rusty when I'm talking, so maybe this is gonna help me kind of develop my my communication skills, especially in English. Just because sometimes I know the words, I know what I'm trying to say, and it's like you lose the vocabulary in both languages, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if that ever happened to you as a bilingual.
Yeah.
You start losing your vocabulary, and it's not just in one language, but it's involved. And I noticed that today when I was doing my my second interview. Actually, I kind of struggled the most, just because they asked me for some very technical questions, and I knew what it meant, I knew how to explain it, but I couldn't, you know put it together in a way that the recruiter can understand me. And that's kind of like the um, the game, honestly. Applying for life is a game, so this is also a game. Standing out from other candidates is making sure that recruiter is able to understand you and you express yourself very well. And yeah, I think I did well. They say within the next or 2 weeks they will reach out to me for the second round of interviews. You know how these things goes. It's very painful. Yep, that's pretty much it. But most of the jobs that I'm applying are remote, at least for now. And yeah, I'm trying to see if I can maybe build something aside as well while I do that. And also day trading. I feel like I'm doing too much, but I got I got a solid day plan. So morning
Mm.
trade from like over here is like 8:30. Over there is like 9:30. Trade from there to midday. Midday, go to lunch. I eat with my sister. And then from lunch to the afternoon until my classes, well, I was volunteering teaching English. From there, I apply for jobs. Just job, like applying for jobs. And then in the afternoon, if I have some time, sometimes I go out with friends or family. In the afternoon, if I have a small time, I just dedicate to, I don't know, organize a few things. I'm helping my cousin with his business here, to kind of like do inventory, create a system for him. I'm just volunteering, see how I like that. And yeah. And then also editing photos. I don't know if you saw seeing my Instagram. I've been posting photos recently. Sometimes honestly, I don't get to see my pictures. I take a bunch of pictures and I don't get to edit them on the spot. So I need some time to like kind of just sit down, pick, and then edit. But yeah, that's kind of like my routine. And then the gym, of course, I fit it in the morning. And yeah, that's quite my day, to be honest. And I'm getting used to it. It's been a week and a half since I started with this routine now, and it's been working pretty solid. The hardest thing, you know what it is here in Ecuador? Waking up, because it's fucking cold, bro. I swear to God, 6 a.m. over here is like freezing. Like I'm with the blanket because I sleep with the blanket on because it's so cold. I take it out and it's like literally. It's been so cold this past morning. So I haven't been able to wake up 5 or 6. Usually wake up by 7 or 8. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, mate.
One thing. one thing I wanted to touch on. So with the day trading, are you like reviewing your trades? Or you kind of jotting down notes and then kind of going back to it and seeing the game plan, see what you did wrong, see what you did well, all that?
Yeah, so what I did is I created an Excel sheet where I passed all my trades. No Excel sheet, it's Sheets, Google Sheets. Google Sheets has actually a formula that it gives you the real real time price of the stock. So I put that there. I have some, let me actually see what else is in there. So I have the ticker, of course, the price that I'm buying or I'm getting in, the amount of shares that I'm getting in with, how much is it at the moment, and then I have a sell target, a percentage target, and a profit target. So once I put the percentage that I'm trying to win, I usually go from 2 to 5 daily. So it automatically tells me my sell target, which is the price that I should aim for. And I just put a sell limit at that price. And then I just, through the day, I check whether it reaches to that point or is about to reach to that point. So sometimes I do take less than the percentage that I was hoping for. So let's say I aim for 5%. I see the news, do my research, see what's going on with this company. So today I was trading Nvidia. Well, I was shorting Nvidia. I don't know if you saw that stock, like it rose to the roof yesterday with the
Earnings.
earnings call. Yeah. And yeah, and then I realized that it was very volatile. So boom, got out, made some profits, and I think I just made like a 1.6 or 1.7 profit. And yeah, I just keep a record on it. And then I just have kind of like my open positions, those that I sold, I filled it in, and then I see my total profit that I have made so far. So that system has been working so far. The challenging thing is the research. I think I've been kind of like, playing around with the research, and for me, it's mainly about what the markets are doing rather than kind of like seeing a graph and trying to like beat beat with a graph. But ultimately, it's fun. I do draw lines and stuff, just to see where the resistance and the supports are. But finding a pattern right now in these markets, especially until September at least, is gonna be a little bit kind of like bearish. So yeah, that's kind of like
Nice.
my trading so far. Yeah, I
Hmm.
took the course that you gave me, honestly. So shout out to boy Randy because he bought the program. He never used it, so I'm using it.
Oh no, I used it and I completed it and everything. Um, but like you said, right, it's a lot of research, just making sure you're consistent with that. It requires a lot of time and dedication. Definitely very difficult to juggle, especially if you have a full-time job, like I do now. Um, it requires you, again, to be dedicated, be disciplined, stay consistent, don't get emotional, all the things. It's all the things that you would need to be successful in basically anything that you do in your life, except it's with trading in front of a computer, right? Um, and it's fun. It's definitely fun if you can understand like the game process of it, right? If you can gamify it and really get down to just like what the technical aspects of this is, it's a game. Right? In the same way you play chess, in the same way you play any video game. The only difference is like it's just lines and charts and news coming out from companies and the different things that are going on in the world, and it's throwing that all into basically an algorithm and just hoping that you kind of succeed if you place the bet right. If you do that long enough and you do it consistently, then you'll win more often than you lose. You'll always lose at some point, but the wins will always be greater than the losses, which ultimately will make you profitable and successful.
Absolutely.
Um, I think that's pretty much it for me on my end. Kind of just like another basic life update. Uh, my back recovery has been going pretty well. At this point, I'm back to exercising. Um, Nothing vigorous, and I'm not doing anything that would harm me again. But I'm back to it again, so that's awesome. At this point, we're kind of just again in New York. It's a weird time just because everybody's out on vacation. Um, I have to it's not that I have to, but I just ended up staying back in New York for work purposes and just making sure everything's solid here. So everything is a little slow, but that just gives me time to prepare, right? Make sure everything is organized, make sure my priorities are in line. Um, at least within the gym industry or fitness industry, September tends to be one of those months where things pick back up because everybody's coming back from vacation. So at this point, it's just making sure that all my ducks are in a row. I'm consistent. I know what the game plan is, and then just executing in the same way that you would execute a trade, right? Just making sure you have everything in line. You understand the play, you know the information, and not everything is going to go your way. But if things don't go your way, adapting to circumstances is vital to your success. So being able to pivot on the fly is always a positive skill, which is something that we've talked about, right? You need to be adaptable. You need to be able to adjust yourself regardless of the situation. And that only comes through experience, putting yourself in those situations more often, more consistently, and then learning, right? I'm a really big fan of like sitting down, journaling, whatever I want to kind of improve upon, right? If I want to improve upon a very specific thing in terms of like fitness skills, or if I want to improve upon my trading skills, or whatever it is, reviewing, like sitting down, just jotting down your thoughts and then reviewing and then kind of coming up with the plan of action for the next time is critical for your success, because otherwise you're just kind of going into a situation without any plan, hoping for things to work out. 9 times out of 10, not going to work out.
Right. So for me, when it comes to journaling, I also do journal, as you know. Something that, well, this was my philosophy in the past. Journaling, it was whenever you feel like writing, just write. So don't have kind of like a schedule to do it. That's why my journal goes from like, let's say May 1st to like May 20th. Like I go like 20 days without writing. And then I write, right? Until I met this person in my trips in Laos. And what he explained to me, because he did it on your phone, he does it on his phone. I think you do it on your phone as well.
Same. Yep.
So what he did is like he was a big person to like, like journal, just like his trips. Like he had a whole itinerary. Every place that he goes to, or every country that he goes to, he has like bullet points, like recommendations, things to do, places to visit, to do's, what you should know, like traditions, cultures, reflections, pros and cons, and stuff like that. And I was traveling with him for 2 weeks, and we started doing this together. So we go to a place, and then we did like we call it tops and flops. So what was the good and what was the bad? And now I start doing that within my days. Like within my days, I usually, like you mentioned, I see it more as a reflection of my day. It's like, okay, what was the tops of today and the flops of today? And I know the tops I should like, give credit to myself and say like, yes, high five. And then on the flops, I'm like, okay, I need to improve this, improve that, improve that. And then I just make a list, and that's kind of like my to-do list for tomorrow. So that's how I started doing it now. And I think it's very helpful, kind of helpful iterating the things that you should do. Like, for example, the gym. It was not longer sustainable to go to the gym in the morning because it was too cold and I was too lazy to go. And some days I will be like, let me not just go. I will go in the afternoon, and then in the afternoon, I will never go. So now what I start doing it is like before going to lunch, my sister has set schedule for lunch, like at 12 to 1 p.m. So before going to lunch, I go to the gym. So about like 10:50, I'm leaving my house here to the gym, do the gym over there, take a shower in my sister's house, and then eat with them. So that has been working for the past, this week I started that, and that has been working because this past days, this whole week I have been really consistent, and I like it because like, midday, you're already awake, let's go to the gym. So that's one thing. So writing is very crucial for your growth. I think however you take it, however you like to organize. And yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. And I have a class in like 10 minutes. I'm volunteering, teaching class, English class here. This week is the last week actually. So really excited for that. But yeah.
All right, man. Awesome. Well, congrats. And one thing I wanted to add. So the journaling and writing and kind of reflections. Another thing that I used to do was voice memos, or just like recording myself talking about whatever I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And then I can go back. And either you can do that, or you can record yourself by talking and also write down afterwards some of the talking points that you want to go over. I found that very useful. I don't necessarily do that anymore, but it's not that it's not useful. It's just a matter of I don't really need to do it anymore. But if it's something that I want to bring back, I can.
I used to do that back when I used to live in New York. And I stopped doing that. Well, I lost my phone, first of all, so all my voice memos are gone, unfortunately. No, but I remember I would never listen to them. That was the issue. I would record myself and I wouldn't listen to them. I went almost like 6 to like 8 months doing that. I wouldn't listen, and it was just weird listening to your voice. And something, because we were more consistent with the pod as well, I was already listening to my voice, and then listening again to the voice on a daily basis, it just gets like, this is weird.
Right.
So writing, I think, is for me works better personally.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You could always make a video too, right? You can either write, voice record, or make a video and then look at that. But again, it's whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, I think that should pretty much wrap it up for today. Appreciate the conversation as always. Always good catching up. Hopefully maybe we can just kind of stay consistent with maybe one a week. We're just kind of shooting the shit like this. Because it's easy.
Yeah,
Whenever you have a very specific topic, it kind of limits us in a way because we're trying to just fit that specific topic of conversation. But when we're able to free flow like this, we can go from one thing to the next, and it doesn't necessarily need to make 100% sense, but within the context of what we're talking about, it just does.
Absolutely. Oh, okay, brother. Thank you for the chat. I will see you when I see you
on the next one.
This is a conversation between friends.
None of what is said here should be taken as legal advice.
We are not experts in any way.
Take what resonates and leave the rest.